Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. We're gonna have a look at the recent Chinese insurance registration numbers for electric vehicles, and we can see that Tesla is doing great, 14,200. So the trend is quite upwards, and for Q3 right now they are on good path to be essentially beating their previous record, although maybe not by a whole lot, but I think they're doing very good, especially over the past 7 weeks. And actually you can see that on the trend, Tesla represented by the red or pink one there, and you can see that the trend is going quite upwards over the past let's say 7 weeks. We were like down to 11,000 and now over around 14,000. At least that's the trend line over the past 7 weeks. For LiAuto, they're still going upwards slowly but steadily. Actually, I like the LiAuto graph much more because they've been doing this all year, like slowly but steadily going up. So as we go scroll back, we can see that, for example, in the February time frame, they were around 7,000, 6,000, 9,000, once in a while, again 7,000 and so on. And then as you go onwards at the, closer to the mid-year, we are now, closer to 11, 12, 10. So LiAuto is doing really good. Xpeng is doing better over the past 3-4 weeks. So if you look at the trend for Xpeng, they are represented by the blue one. The trend is slightly upwards, and they are, last week 2,800. And then Nio is still hovering around the 5,000s. But now they are 4,600. So I think the numbers are good for most of them. And especially if we go to Xpeng, we can see that today on the 27th of August, they are launching their new car, the new sedan, Xpeng Mona M03, and this car is supposed to come in just below 20,000 US dollar. Is essentially, I would say, a Model 3 competitor. And speaking of the Model 3, you can see that last week they had 4,200 deliveries in China. And the interesting part for me is now, despite the Tesla numbers being great, they had 14,300 the week before, 15,500 before that, and 14,200 now. One of the reasons why Tesla is doing so strong is that the North American and European sales are not that great right now, so they are balancing out by selling more cars in China. But the issue with doing that is there's a lot of competition in China, so Tesla is not selling more cars just out of nowhere. What they are doing right now, they are offering 0 interest rate loans for a new Model 3 and Model Y purchasers. So although they are shipping away a lot of numbers in a number of cars, they are doing so at much lower margin. So the delivery numbers look good, but the margins are going down. And this doesn't leave a whole lot of space for Tesla to face the competition, as Xpeng's Mona is launching today. And also we know that I've been talking about Nio and their Onvo car. Onvo is the, let's say, main competitor to Tesla's Model Y. So whereas Xpeng attacks the Model 3 with the new car, Onvo is attacking the Model Y. And I would be interested to see how these numbers looks like for Tesla as we enter into, let's say, late September, when both Mona and Onvo are launching their cars. So it's gonna be especially in September and also October. Are we gonna see again 15,000 for Tesla, or are they going back to the tens of thousands? So this is gonna be quite interesting time. I think also, if you go again back to this graph here, Nio, they are operating at the highest end of the price segment, where the volume is obviously the lowest. But the Nio brand, their sub brand called Onvo, is gonna be operating at the lower price target. So this also increases their number of potential available customers. So I do believe that Nio will have a kind of steady growth for as soon as Onvo is essentially ramping up. So I wouldn't be worried at Nio at all, because I know that this month, if you, for example, look at the numbers right now, the numbers are just around 13,500, and if you add to it another 5,500 for the last week that is remaining, which is from, I think it would be from Monday the 26th, so yesterday, and the 27th, 28th, 29th and the 30th, those 5 working days, let's assume if they come in at an interesting and strong 5,500, it would be around 19,000. If they do a 6,500, they would beat the 20,000 level again, which they have done over the past 3 months. But you shouldn't be worried about 19,000 or 20,000. That's not a big difference. The interesting part is, as you can see on the blue bars for me there, which represent Nios deliveries for 2024. The expected ones obviously for September, October, November and December. We don't have those numbers yet obviously, but the reason why I have projected a quite sharp ramp is due to Onvo. And let's see, because I think they could do a 24,000 car in September. It's difficult to say how much I've seen some numbers people are talking about maybe 25,000 Onvo deliveries for the rest of the year, which would be roughly 5,000 per month. But in that scenario, you wouldn't see those first month to be 5,000. Maybe they start at 3,000 and then ramp it up to 5,000 by end of the year. I don't know. Difficult to say. But these are my numbers that I go based on from now, and we'll see as the first delivery numbers come in for Onvo in just about a month. Then we're gonna see how many deliveries they have. But this is my expectation, at least some sort of increase. It could be even faster, we don't know yet. But yeah, so for Nio, I'm not worried at all. I think the difficulty with Nio is, as I mentioned in my previous video, is the pace of which they increase their battery swap stations. Because here we have, for example, the number of swap stations. We have the numbers until now, August. The total cumulative all-time swaps, 51 million. And then daily swaps. And then based on those numbers, we know the fleet size. The fleet size is easy to calculate. It's just look at, historical deliveries of Nios. So this is easily available data out there. We know then with those data, we can calculate number of cars per swap. So how many cars are required to do one single swap? And this is around 8.4 to 7.6, depending on which month you look at it. And then obviously we have the number of, how many swaps are being done on each station. Why is that important? Well, we know that the CEO mentioned a while ago that the number that is, the number that we are aiming for is 60, because that's when they should be at break even. And we can see that at the start of the year we were at 23, 24. Now it looks like we are at above 30 at least. And the goal is to be 60. And why do I speak about this, the swap stations? Because I think, if you watch my other video, I go through it much more in detail. But Nio could be much more profitable, at least making much lesser of loss, if they would be less aggressive in building at swap stations. So that's that's a head scratcher of how much should they build out and how much shouldn't they. But anyway, that's not the topic for today. But if you're interested, look at my other video I made last week. But I think for the general delivery numbers for this past week, I'm happy. The lithium carbonate price still stuck around at these low levels. Remember, if you're new to the channel, they were at 600,000-700,000, and now they are at 70,000 or thereabouts. Just a couple of years difference essentially. So that's good. But yeah, I think if I was a Tesla bull, which I have been over the past 6-7 years, now I'm a bit more cautious, at least for 2024. It's gonna be a interesting time for the rest of the 4-5 months remaining of the year. We know that last year they delivered 1.8 million cars. Now in Q1 and Q2 they have delivered 830,000 cars. So they are essentially at a pace of doing, I think, 1.7, because Q1 of 2024 was in terms of deliveries was a bit it was a bit low, but that was, I think, because of the Model 3, the updated Model 3, and they had to retool the factories. This is also why the Q1 deliveries was a bit lower. But if you can see that we were already 50,000 behind last year at the same time after Q1, and then we were around, I don't know, another 40,000 behind last year. But I do expect Q3 number to be good. Q4 is difficult because I do think the competition in Q4 is gonna be very high in China. So the question is, how much. I think there's a huge realistic chance that Q3 for Tesla in China will be better than Q4 for Tesla in China. And based on that, maybe even 1.8 million car deliveries is not possible. I mean, anyways, even if it come in at 1.8 million for Tesla, it's not necessarily a bad number, but you know, if you count on a company that is supposed to grow fast, that's not any growth essentially. And I counted, well, not counted, but my goal at the beginning of the year for Tesla was, if I recall here, 2.1 million deliveries. So that's not gonna be reachable at this rate. So that's gonna be interesting. Whereas for Nio, for example, I had 235,000, and I think that is, for Nio, I think that is possible. For Nio, if you look at it year to date, we are at 107,000. So now your question is, how are they supposed to, how should they reach another 120,000 more cars? Where you look at it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months remaining. If they even average, if they just average 20,000 over the coming 5 months, well, including August, that's already another 100,000 more cars. So we are at close to 210,000. But I do think they will beat, you know, because September, October, November, and December, they will be more sales, I do believe, especially due to Onvo. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. It was just a quick update on, you know, a bit of the numbers, the lithium carbon price that we follow up, the increased competition from Xpeng, starting from today with their Model 3 competition, and their Xpeng Mona M03, and then of course Onvo in just 2 or 3 weeks from now. So Tesla is facing a bit of tougher times in China. And then yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.